The Victorian era lasted throughout most of the 1800s. This period of time was known for its technological advancements and for its increased social mobility. And with that came new beauty trends that spread from Britain to the United States by word of mouth and publications aimed at women, some beauty trends that would never happen in today's world. Not all of these trends were good, many of them had deadly consequences. Some deadly Victorian beauty trends included the use of what we now know are poisonous compounds that women placed on their eyes and skin. These deadly Victorian beauty fads did not stop at makeup, even clothing created hazardous conditions. Until the Victorian era ended and new trends took over, women subjected themselves to these dangers every day, all to make themselves more attractive to the opposite sex. Tuberculosis, a fatal disease during the Victorian era, causes nodules to grow in the lungs. Eventually, these nodules affected breathing to the point that the patient died. However, during the Victorian age, women appreciated the beauty that tuberculosis caused, the pale skin, thin waist, and red lips and cheeks of those infected. This quickly became a trend that led to women purposely contracting the disease in order to look beautiful. Arsenic, which we now know is a dangerous poison, caused a woman's skin to become very pale. This was the beauty ideal, as upper-class women didn't need to go outside and work in the garden, they had servants to do that for them. In order to make all of their skin extremely pale, women would go under a parasol to prevent the sun's rays from hitting them, of course, to special spas that had arsenic spring baths. The ideal upper-class Victorian woman had facial skin that was unblemished and as white as possible. If their skin was imperfect, they applying lotions, face paints, and even powders. The only problem was this makeup contained things like lead and radium. Of course, they didn't realize lead could cause severe poisoning when leached into the skin, or that radium was radioactive. Red lips were a hugely popular beauty trend during the Victorian era. Before commercialized lipstick became common, women had to either make the lipstick compound themselves, or purchase lip paint from their local pharmacy or general store. The main dye used to make red lip paint was composed of carmine from the crushed bodies of cochineal insects. The pigments weren't deadly on their own, although some did cause allergic reactions. What really made lip paints poisonous was the ammonia mixed into them when the insects were boiled and crushed. The ideal Victorian woman had a curvy, hourglass figure. Of course, most women aren't built that way, so corsets were created to give the illusion of a very thin waist. When combined with the large hoop skirts of the era, an hourglass figure was created. The only problem was wearing a very tight corset for hours on end every single day could cause permanent deformities, shortness of breath, and even suffocation if the lungs couldn't get enough oxygen. Purposely eating a wafer containing arsenic is unheard of in this day and age. No such thing would make it onto store shelves unless it was sold as rat poison. But, in the Victorian era, before people realized such things were dangerous and prior to the Food and Drug Administration, things like arsenic wafers were sold and consumed by women who wanted pale, translucent skin. Women were supposed to call attention to their eyes, according to Victorian beauty trends. This was done by painting eyeliner and eyeshadow onto their faces. However, these eye paints contained mercury, lead, and antimony oxide, all of which are dangerous to the body. Mercury, for example, can cause kidney damage. Antimony oxide is a carcinogen. Hoop skirts were the rage among upper-class Victorian women. When combined with a corset, they created an exaggerated hourglass figure. However, maneuvering in a hoop skirt wasn't easy, especially when going up and down the steep, slanted staircases in most Victorian houses. Tripping over the hem of the skirt and falling down the stairs could have deadly consequences. So could walking too close to an open flame. In the days before electric lights became commonplace, candles were used for light indoors. The flammable fabrics of the day, when combined with wide skirts, made for hazardous conditions.